It's surreal. I mean, didn't expect this to happen today for sure. It was just seeing the response. You can clearly tell it's a very serious deal, and just praying for everyone that's involved.
Yeah. And breaking overnight, our coverage of the Givaudan Sense Color Factory continues with new details this morning. Wave News has obtained a statement from the company. They say 2 of their team members died in that massive explosion that sent at least a dozen people to the hospital yesterday afternoon, blew out windows of nearby businesses. And our Skytrack camera captured that moment it happened. You see it right up there on the right-hand corner. A big plume of smoke billowing into the sky. And our drones went overhead, and it shows the power of that explosion. The building nearly completely flattened. We've been getting a lot of viewer photos into the newsroom, too, showing us what things looked like. This morning, city officials will give an update. That's expected at 10 o'clock this morning. Josh Nickey live right now to break down more details. Josh.
And Shannon, obviously the scene not nearly as active as it was yesterday afternoon, but fire officials are still here. We just saw them put up some caution tape here, and also a few of them walk up to the scene that's here behind us. You can see the area blocked off by that fire truck right there. But of course, officials say this explosion happened yesterday at 3 o'clock, and they had to be very careful because all of the chemicals that are here at this plant. Givaudan does a whole variety of things, including manufacturing beauty and fragrance products. That meant the fire department had to use a lot of hazmat equipment. One person was pinned while the building collapsed. We're not sure, though, if they're one of the 2 people who died at this point. The fire chief says the company's emergency plan was a huge help to those first responders.
There was one person that was trapped that our firefighters got out, but there were several people that had to be evacuated. And again, I give a lot of credit to our corporate partners in this city. They had an emergency action plan. They worked with us greatly to get those people out. They were very helpful.
And authorities also had a new drone that they used to test the air quality here in the area. Thankfully, that was never a problem yesterday. Still not a problem this morning, so that's all fine. And we should be getting an update on potentially what happened here yesterday. That's coming up this morning at 10 o'clock with the fire officials and the mayor, and we will carry that for you live. We'll stream that for you on our Facebook page, the Wave 3 app, and, of course, wave3.com as well. Live here in the Clifton neighborhood, Josh Nickey, Wave News.
Thank you, Josh. And again, breaking overnight, we learned that 2 of the employees died. And city officials say the Louisville Fire Department is still searching the building, working with the building's company to identify workers. 12 people total were taken to U of L Health and Baptist Health for care. In an update given to us last night, U of L Chief Medical Officer Dr. Jason Smith says 2 of the patients were in critical condition, but again, it's unknown if the 2 deaths were part of the original 12 taken to the hospital. Smith says there were a variety of injuries that they were dealing with: burns, blunt injuries, and people who had been crushed. People had to go through a decontamination process as well that involved removing all of their clothing and cleaning the patients for any chemical exposure.
With things like this, with industrial chemicals, while we train for it, we have to basically assume that they have been contaminated with everything in the factory or in the area where there was this explosion. And then after we decontaminate them, we bring them in for overall care from that perspective.
Officials are advising people to try to avoid that area right now so crews can continue working the scene and cleaning things up. But it was a powerful shock that was felt and heard across the metro. Most of the damage impacted people who live and work nearby, but the blast was so big. When we talked with some people who live nearby, they said they were shaken when they found their own homes damaged.
We went back inside to take additional pictures of the inside. The window in the back door had been completely blown out from it. I mean, as soon as it happened, everyone came running out of their house. Did you hear that? Did you hear that? So, but yeah, my back door completely blew the window out. Crazy.
First responders evacuated the area, keeping some home and business owners from checking on their properties until they knew it was safe for them to return. But some businesses had glass shattered, so they were boarding things up. Some say they wonder how much worse this could have been.
I had just came home from work probably 20 minutes before it happened, and I was sitting there talking to my mother, and out of nowhere, a loud boom, and it shook the house.
You got too many people in this neighborhood. If it was something bigger, you know, who knows what would have happened.
Some of the families who had their home damaged are getting help from the American Red Cross. Our troubleshooters have been working to learn more about the history of this company that owns the factory. It's not the first time there's been an explosion there. Now, it's named Givaudan Sense Color, was previously part of a company called D.D. Williamson & Company. DDW had been in business for more than 150 years. Swiss company Givaudan acquired that facility in 2021. The plant makes coloring for drinks and other food items, also fragrance and beauty products as well. Now, the site also had an explosion in 2003. Records show 44-year-old Louis Perry was killed when 40,000 pounds of ammonia in a tank exploded. The explosion also caused a shelter-in-place order in the Clifton neighborhood. The U.S. Chemical Safety and Hazard Investigation Board says the feed tank most likely failed due to overheating of caramel food coloring. The board claimed the plant did not have a relief valve for overpressure protection or an alarm to warn workers. It's unknown if this was the reason for yesterday's explosion, though. And you can stay on top of this story by getting updates right to your phone by downloading the free Wave News app. Also, we'll be streaming that press conference at 10 o'clock. You can stay with us right here on Wave and wave3.com.
With Alert Day coverage now, this is Wave News.
Well, heavy rain, strong wind, thunderstorms, severe weather brought it all to our backyards overnight. We've been watching this storm system develop, and we tracked it all night as we moved into wave country, leaving destruction in its path. And we have team coverage this morning, keeping track of what's happened, what you're waking up to, and what's to come. Meteorologist Carson Meredith joining us this morning. Marissa Burke is live outside, keeping up with some of that damage. And Tawana, you're here to talk about everything that's happening right now in the weather world, and we're going to see a lot as the sun comes up this morning.
Yeah, unfortunately, there's going to be a lot of locations that are going to be reporting more damage as we get more of that sunlight. But keep in mind, we'll be trying to clean up as we deal with more rain moving through the region. So that is definitely not the best of situations at all. We do have a number of severe thunderstorm warnings off towards our south and east. Thankfully, those are staying just outside of wave country. That's how we like it. We're continuing to keep an eye on more of that rain rolling through the region this morning. Anywhere from Bardstown to Springfield to Columbia to Litchfield, you're locked in on the heavy rain right now. We're seeing more of that moderate to heavy rain from Breckinridge County all the way into Bullitt County and straight in to the Louisville Metro. So that means for those of you who have to head into work today, I know that some Southern Indiana schools are also in session today. The rain is going to be a factor, so keep that in mind. We're also keeping an eye on some more of those showers stretching from Shelbyville and with some drier conditions right now towards Carrollton, and seeing some heavy rain in Franklin County. Southern Indiana, you are certainly a lot drier as of right now. Now, as we continue throughout the rest of the morning, we're going to watch rain chances actually dropping off. Rain will become a little bit more scattered across the region. Won't go away, but the rain chances will drop a little bit towards lunch. But they'll ramp right back up once we head into later on this afternoon and evening. That potential for strong to severe storms will be back into our forecast, especially between 2 p.m. and 8 p.m. today. So keep that in mind as you're heading out and about. Our temperatures right now in the 60s across the region. As we head throughout the rest of the day, going to stay in the 60s. So at least we're going to keep things mild and warm across the region. Not as warm, though, as the 80s that we saw yesterday. For those of you south of 64, this is where we have that slight risk of severe weather. Level 2 out of 5 back in play. Damaging winds, more of that hail, that potential for tornadoes back into the forecast for the afternoon and evening. And that, Carson, could add on to the power outages that we're already seeing.
Certainly possible, Tawana, especially with the rounds of severe weather, not just for today, but also possibly into Friday and even Saturday as well. But I do have some good news. We look at the power outage map this morning. Compared to an hour ago, we are seeing some improvement in getting those customers back online. The worst spots, however, are still across southern Indiana. Earlier this morning, Jackson County had nearly 40% of customers without power. That number's been cut in half to just shy of 20%. Still over 5,400 folks without power in Jackson County. Here in the metro, those numbers peaked around 2,500 customers without power in the metro earlier this morning. Now we're down to around 2,200 or so. But keep in mind, as we go through the next couple of days, we'll have that additional risk for more power outages with each round of severe storms. But in addition, as the ground gets more waterlogged, those trees become more susceptible to falling over. That could cause a couple of power lines to go down as a result. And also keep in mind, as you're out and about this morning, if you come up to a traffic light that is out, treat it as a four-way stop, and wherever you are, just give yourself plenty of time heading out the door. We're going to talk about traffic here in just a few minutes, but let's look at some of the damage that we saw from those storms last night. Wave News reporter Marissa Burke has been out all night and all morning showing us the damage in J-Town out in the industrial park. Marissa?
Yes, Carson, we are off of Plantside Drive on one of those side streets, and the building behind me, we are not sure of the business that's inside, but this building is just distorted. You can see where the panels have just been ripped off the side from the winds, and you can see inside of this building, the roof. I know it's hard to see, but it is just all sorts of just combusted up together. I don't know another way to describe it. Again, this building is just all sorts of twisted and distorted, and when we were on the side road to get here, we saw several downed power lines and trees. Like Carson was saying, this weather is going to cause a lot of trees to uproot. We did see that in a apartment complex not far from here, Blankenbaker Crossings apartment. As soon as you try to enter that complex, there's a tree right there at the entrance and several uprooted trees. So just beware when you're getting out and about today to just look around before you drive. Again, we are in J-Town, and this building is just off of Plantside Drive. Back to you.
Thanks, Marissa. All of us here at Wave, and especially the Wave storm tracking team, have been following these storms closely. At least one tornado brought damage to Jefferson County, but several others in our area also saw destruction. Strong winds, heavy rain, and thunderstorms all combined to really make a mess of things. This is footage shot by our crews last night in the area of the Bluegrass Industrial Park off Plantside Drive. You can see the strong winds really made a mess of the buildings there. Fire officials say that one nearby building was even completely blown down. They say it has caused some gas leaks on Plantside, with LG&E coming out to shut off any gas lines. At last check, fire officials say they haven't gotten any word about injuries in the area. We talked to the owner of a wood veneer company located in the industrial park. He says he's devastated seeing the damage.
Once I knew the storms had passed, I came down, and I had a bad feeling. When I came down the street, I saw a lot of vehicles, and I heard it kind of touched down in this area, and I thought these roofs are kind of weak, so I thought we were in big trouble, and we are. I've never seen anything like this. It's pretty devastating for us because our wood's laying everywhere, and once it gets wet, it's over.
Fire officials say that Louisville EMA will be out to survey the damage today. Check out this video sent in to us. The viewer says it shows the moment the power came back on at their apartment complex in Shelbyville. You can see the strong wind blowing all that heavy rain, blowing it sideways because it's so windy. This one comes to us from southern Indiana, specifically Floyd County near County Line Road. They were pummeled with that heavy rain too, and thousands of power outages were caused. They also have had reports of trees down in the county as well. Our alert days are continuing throughout the week because our weather issues will be sticking around. LMPD is reminding drivers to watch out for known problem spots with such a high potential for flash flooding.
I think when you look at any of the viaducts in particular, where we have those railroad crossings and those underpasses, please be very careful when you're approaching those. And we also know where there are creeks and things like that that come up.
You've heard it before, turn around, don't drown. Police say it's better to spend the extra time to find a safe way home than to try and risk it by driving through the floodwaters. MSD will set up roadway flood wall closures at 10th and 27th Streets today. It'll take crews several hours to install and assemble the flood wall. MSD says it expects the Ohio River will crest on Saturday. The weather forced UPS to suspend some of their usual work at Worldport overnight. The shipping giant says next day air sorting operations are suspended and all domestic inbound flights were canceled. UPS says they're doing this to exercise caution and put safety first. The company expects to resume normal operations this morning. Customers with questions about their shipments can track them at ups.com. Storm shelters across the area have their doors open for people who need a safe place to go this week. Kentucky Governor Andy Beshear says these shelters are especially important for people who live in mobile homes. In Hardin County, the Vine Grove Safe Room opened early for people in the area. Fire leaders say the bunker has its own power system, Wi-Fi, and it can withstand an EF5 tornado. We have a full list of shelters up on wave3.com. Governor Beshear also activated the Kentucky Emergency Operations Center. He says the National Guard is on standby, ready to head out where they're needed. We've been telling you all week, but make sure you download the Wave Weather app to stay on top of this long stretch of severe weather. It's completely free to download on your Apple and Android devices. Breaking this morning, a man is dead after a crash with an LMPD officer. Police say it happened on Fern Valley Road last night. The officer was responding to an emergency call on I-65 when police say the driver tried to turn in front of the officer and crashed. The driver of the other car died. The coroner identified him as 61-year-old Charles Briscoe. The LMPD officer was taken to the hospital and is expected to survive. 2 juveniles were hurt in a shooting last night in Louisville. This happened around 9 o'clock off 26th and West Chestnut. Police found 2 teenagers there with gunshot wounds. They were taken to the hospital and are expected to survive their injuries. If you know anything about what happened, you should call LMPD's anonymous tip line. Louisville's Ford assembly plant is going to close for most of next year to start a massive remodeling project. The new equipment and facilities will be used to make a new all-electric vehicle. Local UAW President Todd Dunn says 2,300 workers at the plant will be impacted. Most of them will be temporarily laid off. They'll get unemployment benefits, and when those run out, they'll get sub-pay of about 70 to 80% of usual take-home pay. Dunn says moving forward, the UAW is going to focus on getting workers prepared for the closure.
Now it's just working on navigating the plan towards when this shutdown is going to begin, make sure our membership's informed, those who be affected, give them as many services and get them as much information as possible to prepare and plan for that. So we're just in the planning stage and we're waiting on some of the specifics to come from Ford Motor Company.
Ford hasn't shared the exact details on the plan yet. A company spokesperson says they have committed an electric vehicle to the plant and they will release more information in the near future. Here's Tawana taking a look at the next 12 hours.
And as we head over the next 12 hours, we're still talking about more rain in the forecast. While the rain is going to become a little bit more scattered in nature towards lunch, we're still keeping an eye on the potential for some severe weather as we get into later on this afternoon and into the evening hours, watching that 2 p.m. to 8 p.m. time frame as of right now. But the rain, yeah, it can have an impact on anybody heading out and about this morning, especially with some of the power out across the region. Carson?
Yeah, just keep an eye out for some of those traffic lights that might be out, especially in eastern Jefferson County where we had that likely tornado touchdown a few hours ago. Big picture traffic-wise, however, we're still working on that one accident on the Waterston eastbound right underneath I-65. But as we go to that Tri-Mark camera in that particular area, look at the top left corner of your screen. You see LMPD has cleared the scene. And while traffic is still a little slow, let's say from the airport to I-65 on the Waterston, things are picking back up speed-wise. But obviously the roads are wet. Be on the lookout also for ponding on the roadways as you're heading out and about this Thursday morning. An extra 10, 15, 20 minutes, certainly a good idea to get to your destination. Quick view of some of the metro traffic cameras. You can see the wet roads, obviously. There could be some ponding in a few spots, but for the most part, everywhere driving at a decent rate, around 55 to 60 miles per hour. We'll keep an eye on the roads all morning long. Olivia?
Well, yeah, great advice. Slow down and give yourself extra time this morning. It's 6:10 now. Severe weather hit wave country last night, and even more rain is expected throughout the week. We'll have details on what you can expect for weather these next few days. That's ahead on Sunrise.